Hello everybody, welcome back to the Buffness. This was supposed to be an unboxing video, but it went kind of wrong in some ways, and I just decided, you know what, I'm not happy with it, I'm going to re-record it. So this is no longer an unboxing, but I will explain why I made that decision shortly. This is an EPS Wraith, the G10 Wraith. And it is awesome. I am a huge fan of it already. I've had it for 3 days now, 2.5. And I haven't stopped flipping it. I haven't stopped working on it either. Boy. So this thing has a story to tell. This was Jelly's Wraith. Jelly from Squid Industries. He no longer works there, but Jelly had this Wraith. Jelly was also the guy he's actually the reason I'm in this hobby still, believe it or not. The first night I got my Balisong, my first one ever, gift from a friend, I was like, I'm gonna look up a tutorial, and I started watching squid tutorials. And guess who was the one making those tutorials and doing all the insane flipping? The guy who can make a thumb roll over look crazy. Jelly himself. And that just, I don't know, it kind of got me hooked. It wasn't all Jelly that got me hooked, but Jelly was there throughout my entire flipping journey without even knowing it. I actually got to talk to him in person, or not in person. I got to message him on Instagram. Because through this trade, we got put in contact, so that was really cool. It's a long story there. I'll get to that. But, yep, squid tutorials were how I learned all of my basic tricks. And a lot of my more advanced tricks, like a lot of the crazy stuff I do now is, well, I don't do that much crazy stuff, but a lot of the more advanced stuff I've learned is Instagram stuff. But, nonetheless, Jelly and his Squid Industries tutorials are the reason I'm still here today. And I'm very, very excited to own his Wraith. Now this thing got put up on Balisong Market, and I snagged it 2 minutes after it was posted. I got so lucky there. I guarantee you this would have been gone if it had been like another 5 minutes. G10 Wraiths, they go so fast. And especially one for $175. Yeah, that is what I paid for this Wraith. It's wild. However, there was a little bit of a catch. This Wraith was beat. We'll get to that in a second. So when I made the offer, I actually commented on the dude's business post, or it wasn't even a business post. It was just a normal post. I commented on that after messaging him because it was invite only. I was like, I need that Wraith, I need that Wraith. And the dude responded, and he was like, yeah, I still got it. The dude was not Jelly. It was like Jelly's proxy, because Jelly was doing some stuff out of town. He's like drone stuff right now. He's like a drone pilot for cinematography. It's really cool. You can follow him on Instagram for more of that. And the occasional 2025 Jelly flipping clip. They're very rare nowadays, but definitely worth it. But Jelly's proxy, I didn't know it was Jelly's Wraith until the dude sent me the PayPal, which was Jelly. I recognized the name, and I was like, no way, this is Jelly. I was like, is this Jelly? And he was like, no, I'm not Jelly, but you're buying Jelly's Wraith. And Jelly had it. Jelly shipped it out to me. And I did get to sneak in a little message to Jelly. I was like, dude, you're the reason I'm in this hobby still. And he thought that was really cool. But I am so happy to own this Wraith. Holy cow. Now, like I said, it was beat. And it was beat horribly. So badly beat. It was insane. First thing I did when I got this thing was recorded 3 minutes of an unboxing video. And then was like, no, I'm going to go tune this thing up. 5 hours later, I was done tuning it, and I came back up here to record the rest of the video. And I recorded 22 minutes of footage, but it was just not up to par. And since then, 2 days have passed, and I've cleaned up the Wraith even more. And now I think it's ready for this video. But I think I have a before picture. I know I do somewhere. So before picture of the Wraith. And here's the after. As you can see, hopefully, far less scuffed up. Let me go through what I did. By the way, I'm sorry if any of you are like bored out of your minds, but I think this Wraith story is genuinely amazing. Like, kind of crazy. But I'll start talking about how it actually flips very soon. But what I did was I took it downstairs, I disassembled it completely, every single part, every single screw, just off. And then I went and took the liners to a grinding belt I had, and just kind of sanded everything down. I also rounded the ends a little bit because they were very sharp. And then I looked at the flats of the liners, and they were so covered in dirt and like grime and stuff that I had to take my polishing bit and polish it like I was gonna anodize it. Like, I was going crazy with that polishing thing just to get off the dirt. So now the liners were clean and a lot less rough than they were. I kind of buffed out some of the scratches. And then I went to the scales. The G10 scales work pretty tough. There's not a ton you can do with beat up G10 besides sanding them down. So that is exactly what I did. I took these things I originally tried the belt sander just for a split second. And I was like, no, this is gonna screw it up. So I went and hand sanded everything down as much as I could to get out some of the scratches. And I did a pretty good job. Honestly, like, you can see there's a lot of scrapes, but it's so much less than there were. And they're more like just marks now instead of divots, so that's really great. Quite happy with that. It does not feel like it did when I got it. It was so much worse. But yeah, I fixed up the G10 best I could. Now I'm pretty happy with that. That's the best I can get without buying new G10. So that's huge. I did message EPS about that though, and I should be getting some shortly. If not though, I'll just make some. Stay tuned for that. But then I went to the spacers real quick. It wasn't these ones actually. We'll talk about that in a second, sorry. So ignore the spacers. But then I went to the blade. And the blade was a piece of work. I worked on that for like a half an hour. Took it to the belt grinder. That is meant for knife blades, by the way. It's not just like a piece of machinery that's meant for other stuff. It's literally meant for knives, so I kind of know what I'm doing. But I kind of reground these little things right here just to clean them up because they were very scuffed up, and I got off those scuffs for the most part, so that's really nice. I also gave it a new edge. I re-tipped it, but then I tipped it again with a drop. And then I kind of just rounded off some sharp corners. I need to do that again with just some sandpaper. Just hand sanding it because it does have some sharp spots, which I'll once again talk about when I get there. But yeah, and then came tuning. Oh my. Tuning was the worst on this guy. It was so bad. I've never had a worse tuning job on one of my knives. I spent, honestly, 4 to 5 hours tuning this thing, which I'm not bad about. I'm actually happy I spent a lot of time tuning it because I got to learn how to use a micrometer with my tunes. I was freehand tuning for so long. I never really offered it as like part of my mod work because I'm not technically tuning it to I'm not giving it a perfect tune. I'm not trying super hard. Just trying to hand sand it, get it to a place where it won't bind, and it's got very minimal play. man. But then I learned the micrometer stuff, and I did it to a couple more of my Bally's, and I'm very happy with it. So micrometer tunes are great, and I'm probably never going to freehand tune again unless I'm desperate. Micrometer tunes are just so much more accurate. But tuning this thing, it had one issue that made me spend 5 hours on it. It would tap on the safe handle even when it had no play. Look, it does not move. It is rock solid. But listen, I just oiled this with carbon honey, so it's very faint. Oh, never mind. Okay, when it's oiled with carbon honey, you can't hear the tap. But when it is dry, you shake it really hard, and you just hear a little tap, tap, tap. It is the most annoying thing because it shouldn't tap. The tune is so tight. It's like thousandths of an inch tight. I don't know how you would say that properly. Need to watch some videos, but you get what I mean. It's like mathematically an insanely tight tune. And it just wouldn't stop tapping. And I went through like 6 bushings trying to get it perfect. And I finally got it to a place where I was happy and it wouldn't tap. But then as I've been flipping it a lot and just cranking the screws even more, it started getting perfect swing. When it's fully cranked, I was having to have it like half fully cranked, like cranked, but not insanely cranked. So now I think I can take off a little bit more off the bushings and hopefully have good swing still and maybe have no tap. We'll see. I don't know if that's an issue with all Wraiths, but with what this one's been through, I'm not surprised. But yeah, now I am very happy with this Wraith. So what do I think of the Wraith? The Wraith has been something... Wow, okay. The Wraith has been on my technically grail list for like a year. It's not just a super expensive knife that I'm like, oh, it's so valuable and so awesome. I want it so bad just because of that. It's more of like the Wraith is something that everybody wants, and I want one too because I've heard they're awesome. They look amazing. And if I ever have the opportunity, I'll buy one. And I had that opportunity, and it was worth every cent of that $175. It's safe to say this guy will be in my collection forever. So the Wraith is like a titanium G10 construction, similar to a replicant. It's got tie spacers and screw-in Zen pins, tunable Zen pins, whatever you want to call them, which I hate, but that's fine. You make it work. You don't have a ton of options when working with G10. And then you have what's on here is a 154 cm blade. EPS has been experimenting with their blade materials lately, between like this and the 101 and the tie Wraith and stuff. But this was like the very early run of Wraiths, so they were using 154 cm, which is fine. It's generally a good blade steel from what I've heard. But for a G10 tie live blade, it flips about how you'd expect, but just a little bit better. Okay, for some reason my flipping is really weird right now. I'm doing a bunch of tricks I normally never ever do, and I don't know why. To be fair, I haven't flipped in several days, at least seriously. That's why I haven't posted a clip on my Instagram or on YouTube or anything, just because I've been so busy with lots of stuff. My flipping has kind of sat to the side for a couple days. I'm trying to get back into it though now. But let me just directly compare this To another tie liner G10 live blade. Yes, I got a replicant. This is the best tuned replicant I've ever felt. And this was before I'd used micrometers, so I might be able to get this even tighter. But it doesn't wiggle, doesn't have play. Perfect swing. Sounds pretty good too. This thing is heavy as heck. Holy cow. I flipped it for days straight, and it was a lot of fun. I haven't flipped it since I got the Wraith, but yeah. The Wraith is basically a lighter, more competitive, I'd say, replicant. And I'm a fan. The replicant kind of needed a revamp. It has been way too long since the replicant has kind of been a big thing. People don't really buy replicants because BRS doesn't make replicants that much, and when they do, they're quite expensive. And they still have QC issues and stuff like that, specifically with tunes. But the Wraith, there were a couple drops. Everyone scooped them up. You cannot buy a Wraith anymore. They are gone until EPS makes more of them, which should be this year. I have talked with him several times, and if they drop more Wraiths, I'm going to buy another one. I'll buy one with a different blade shape, and it won't be a beater. But this one will, of course, stay. So as I've spent a few days with the Wraith, I've just really been trying to understand why it flips like it does. But I kind of can't figure it out. It's just kind of wonky in some ways. Sometimes I'll be flipping it and I'm like, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. But then sometimes I'll flip it and I'm like, this thing flows so good. It feels so good in the hand. Man, I can't flip today. Like right now, the Wraith is feeling amazing. Very happy with it, for sure. Now let's pull out the tie Wraith. Something I do need to mention is I actually swapped out the spacers on the Wraith and the tie Wraith. The tie Wraith originally had these short spacers, which it definitely needs. Way too handle bias right now. But I have zippy weights, or zippy spacers that I'm going to put in this for sure, because it's unflippable with this amount of weight. But the Wraith itself, the G10 Wraith, with these short, lighter spacers, flips amazing. More neutral for sure. So the fans feel significantly better than they did. And, oh wait, let's see. You can hear the tap now. But also, rollovers and chaplains, all that stuff doesn't suffer. So it just had a little bit of extra end weight that it could have lost, and I made it lose it. And now I have been enjoying it a lot more. That's something I did after I recorded the original video. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I decided to make a different one. Yeah, here, let me give you a sound test of the Wraith. This is a very well-tuned Wraith sound test. Just ignore the tap. There's the play. And there's that tap. I'm so excited to get that fixed. We'll see what I have to do. There's got to be some reason why it's doing that. But boy, this thing sounds amazing. All in all, the Wraith is going to be like one of my favorite flippers for sure. Just G10 Bally's, I'm a huge fan of. I flip my Nautilus all the time. I've been flipping the Replicant quite a bit since I got it. And the Wraith is no different. I'm a big G10 kind of guy. This Bowie blade is fantastic. It's so light and agile that I can just kind of go wild on it once I have my flipping skills back. I don't know where they went. And there we go. Learned a new trick, by the way, if any of you are actually still here. Let's see if I can get one. That's very sloppy, but I learned the gin knuckle duster. I keep getting caught up on different fingers when doing it. But yeah, the EPS G10 Wraith is phenomenal. And once EPS restocks these, if they can ever actually stock them and keep them dropping, then I know the Wraith itself will be one of the most popular Bally's out there. And EPS will just only grow as a maker. Their company, like, they got some really cool stuff. People who know about them love them. I don't think there's any EPS haters out there. But they just need to keep stock. That's their problem right now, is EPS can't seem to just make enough knives for everyone. Which, like, of course, it's not really their fault. They're working on design stuff behind the scenes. Manufacturing stuff is very difficult. And they're doing the best they can, I'm sure. But once they kind of figure that out and can regularly drop stuff, they're going to go crazy. I can't wait for that Wraith with like the G10 wrap that they had a proto of at Blade Show. That thing was so cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Sorry it was long, but I hope you enjoyed. I know a lot of people really want to see Wraith content, so maybe some of you are still here. Yeah, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, all that good stuff. The Wraith is so fun, and I can't wait to flip it for many years to come.